what you focus on is what most likely will happen. So, you do the kind of stuff that Dave's doing. Look, if you're in a city and vulnerable, move. You know, you don't have to set up a command bunker somewhere. Just get out of harm's way. If you don't know how to garden, learn. You don't have to grow 100% of your food, but if you can grow 30 or 40% of it, that's great. If you have special skills, develop them so you can barter for those and set up your own communities.
Tech platforms are surging in the stock market. Giants like Facebook, Amazon, Google are reaching all-time highs, with the most noticeable jumps happening in the last 6 months of the NASDAQ, with the never-ending money printing from the Fed. There's still time to learn how to take advantage of this. Learning how the stock market, crypto, precious metals all work is one of the best ways to take control of your financial destiny. And Bob Kudla will show anyone willing to learn how to dominate the markets through courses ranging from beginner to advanced, with online trading tools and an average 70% win rate. All you need is an internet connection to get started. Interact with Trade Genius community, fellow traders, and certified Trade Genius trades, alongside professionals who generate revenue for themselves in the stock market every single day. Live buy and sell alerts text to your phone, built for both new and experienced traders. TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Discounted bundles with their freedom specials. And use the promo code SCHOOL for 40% off non-bundled items. Click on the link in the description box below. And now, on with the interview. Good afternoon, everyone. As always, you're going to have a very interesting conversation loaded with information that can help you see around the bend of the future a little bit. If you're trying to see how the economy, supply chains, food pricing, and just life in general might play out over the next few months. The signs are around us of things in tremendous change at the moment. Bob Kudla, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. We always have these really in-depth talks about once a month, and there's been such a dramatic change since the last time we spoke, even just a month ago. Now, for those of you out there who've been looking or following any sort of U.S. news, the 65-degree Fahrenheit drop across the U.S. Midwest grow belt, that includes from Colorado, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, all these areas here, Oklahoma, down to Texas, even all the way to the Gulf of Mexico and parts of Louisiana, are going to experience the largest temperature drop ever recorded in the United States in such a short amount of time. The previous record was 50 degrees Fahrenheit drop. This one is going to be about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, taking the crops from 90 degrees plus, some areas 100 degrees Fahrenheit, down into freezing. So think about that for a second. The plants are still growing and maturing. The corn, the soy, sorghum, millet, and whatever else is being grown out there, vegetable. Think about that. It's going to go from 90 degrees Fahrenheit to frozen with snow of over a foot in just a matter of 36 hours. We look across the landscape. We see China struggling with food now. The new law is boys can have 2 bowls of rice and girls can have 1 bowl. That's no joke. That's what's happening. They're going into a famine. The typhoon that just skirted through South Korea up into the wheat growing belt of China, Heirloom, which is up there on the border with North Korea, that's going to be a total wipeout and loss, in addition to what was wiped out and lost in the biggest floods in 400 years in the central grow zones of China. And gold and silver prices, as you see, not a lot of movement there except up, and central banks are now grabbing your 1 ounce round and my 1 ounce round that we could buy online. They've added 100 and something new deliverable vendors, smelters, refiners, suppliers into their supply chain because they can't get enough metal. Something's very, let's say, in the works of changing into a reset, in my personal opinion, and it's very apparent now. Food prices up, the distractions all around you. And Bob, thanks for joining. I think maybe you can put a little light on where we might be going with these changes and what you also see on the horizon for food, metals prices, economy in general, and then what people can expect through the next few months. So thanks for joining me.
If people are interested in real estate, the first move now is cities and suburbs. The suburbians are going from suburbs to exurbs. And now you're going to see basically the Midwest repopulate with people basically going back to homesteading, to be able to feed their family. And the good news about it is, it only takes 1,400 or 1,500 square feet to feed your family with all the vegetables that you need. And if you have an acre of land and you're happy eating chickens and eggs, you're going to have enough to feed your family. So there's opportunities here. We're not going to starve.
I can give you a number. So this is just generally in East Tennessee. Land, and I'm talking about farmland or more remote rural land. So suburbs, it kind of stops. And then you get that next step out away from the cities out into rural land, which I bought 20 acres up near the Cherokee National Forest. And then behind me, there's 3,500 acres before you come to the first road. And then behind that, there's more land. So the average of a listing is 11 days before it's bought. Think about that for a second. Some of these properties had stayed on listing for years before this whole city exodus had happened. 20 acres for me is a lot. We have 5 acres under field right now, and we're clearing more. But then we have all the hardwood forest going up to the mountaintop as well. So I'm thinking about goats, chickens, as well as sheep, and a few other, the gardens as well. But out there's a lot more deer you have to contend with, more predators, if you will. So growing your own food is definitely going to be the solution. But while you're growing food, so here's the thing about the connectivity issues as well for trading online, getting into crypto, following the market, still being able to access and talk to people and be connected. There's a huge push for companies to roll out their fiber optic cables way out into the countryside where it was unthinkable even a few years ago. You're like, never, in 150 years, they'll never get a cable out here where there are now. It's the hugest new business because you got people that really are remote working and they're demanding that and companies are responding. Now, myself, I'm having triple redundancy backup with the satellite internet and with the phone and trying to get the cable out there. And they're about 2 months away from cabling out to our area with a tap in, but it costs more money. So think about that. If you can even get your rural location squared away, you can still be connected to whatever it might be your needs. Like for Bob, myself, we're looking at the trading side of things. I look at the crypto, I look at the markets, I do my videos, podcast and whatnot. I need to be really connected to the net. But once we mesh these two worlds together and look for opportunities for these companies wiring the entire rural area with fiber optic cables to be able to deliver that internet access, once we connect these two worlds of rural living with high-tech connectivity, whoever's out there is going to survive just fine because you can step away for 6 months, not even put your head above water, and then, just pull right back.
Yeah, Musk, look, he's building, 24,000 satellites. There's incredibly important technologies that are going to come to bear this isn't all bad news, okay? So, I think if you want to invest in things, telemedicine is going to do really extremely well. You can have one doctor literally in the city, and I think it transformed the value of West Virginia, okay? So if you're West Virginia and you didn't have any specialists to deal with, well, now you can tap into the best specialists in the entire world through telemedicine. And then now you're going to get these advanced med tech sensors in your body. Let's not go with the,
transhumanist thing.
I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about, with the, my dad had a, pacemaker. It communicated with his PC. So, if there's something not right there, we need diagnostic, they literally call him, tell him to come in. That kind of technology, you're talking these smart toilets. Now you've seen what they're doing with COVID, like testing the sewage. Things are getting extremely, extremely viable for you to live a high quality life without being on top of each other. And so you may see America redisperse, and that'll eliminate a lot of the power of these potentates that we have in the cities in the United States, and their power will dissipate, and people have a little bit more control over their government. And it's just, and I just been watching all weekend. I've been looking at some of the technology they're doing for farmland. I was just watching, to do like a 400-acre apple field. They have it down now where the apples are all ripening within, 10 days of each other, and you have a crew of 4 that can basically take a field out in a week. And you're talking 400-acre field, and everything's automated. They don't have to even get off the cranes. They go right to the, and then and the machines are picking out too. So you're just going to see these quantum jumps, and it's not just commercial. They have these in-home robotic gardens now that will plant your seed, will water, will fertilize. It's not for the mom and pop. It's for like the wealthier mom and pop that wants to farm maybe a quarter acre themselves, right? And then really get programmed the system, and it'll go in there. It'll actually drop the seed. It'll spot water. It'll spot fertilizer. It'll spot chemical pesticide if you're into that. And you don't have to do anything other than go out there and harvest your food. So just strap in. When people always ask where the opportunities are, I mean, right there. Robotics, AI, telehealth, telemedicine. The med tech, satellite technology. All that's coming, and we're still going to get better and better with solar and with the other recyclables. And then, natural gas isn't going anywhere, and nuclear is making a rebound. We're making a big bet following and trading in and out of the uranium miners. So a lot of opportunities, Dave.
Yeah, there certainly are, because you rattled off a few here. How people are going to find more information about you here? TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And what kind of information can they find there of things that you're talking about here today?
Yeah, so what we do is we have a system called the Profit Ribbon System, and it's designed to find buying momentum and selling momentum. And then with that system, we teach you how to use it. And then you can develop the watch list of stocks that you want or ETFs that you want. And these systems, you can then set up alerts on them. So when you start seeing the ETFs for the uranium miners start to fire off, and then you start buying and selling them. We have a long-term, tremendous track record in trading because the system has proven itself. It's really designed to, we call it catch the middle 60. It's you're not getting the bleeding edge bottoms where you just get a lot of sell-offs, that take you out of your trades. So you catch the meat of the move and you hop off before it turns against you. So just go to tradelikeagenius.com. We have chat rooms. We have the software. We'll teach you how to use the software. We provide trade signals every day as well. And we can operate effectively in bull markets and in bear markets both. We trade cryptocurrencies, like Dave mentioned. We trade stocks. We even trade these things called binary options for people that like to trade Forex, where we're particularly adept at that. And then we also have a room for people who like to trade the futures. So check us out. We put together some specials for expiring on Saturday. If they're pre-discounted, 65% off, depending on what you like to trade. And then if you just want to pick and choose, you can use the promo code SCHOOL, like Dave mentioned earlier, and you can get 40% off of anything that's unbundled. So it's definitely worth your time. We saved people a lot of money here by getting them out of the speculative stocks there the last couple of weeks.
Tell you a personal story. I was using the signals trading service there with Trade Genius and Bob. And I didn't want to be on a cryptocurrency exchange. So I was using my hardware wallet and checking out the signals as they would reach sort of a top. I would hop into Changely and flip into make or die and then hold out. And when I saw it come back low again, I would manually do it. Now that's way different than going on an exchange and programming your sell price in or waiting for it to hit a top and you might think it's still trending up. Different animal altogether, but I did try it and I still was able to, make gains. Sometimes it flipped over or, you went to bed or something because it was not automated. That was me, myself going into Changely and putting those orders in using my hardware wallet. And there's a few others out there that you can use to jump back and forth between your actual hardware storage and onto an exchange that'll change from one cryptocurrency to the other and then redeposit it back in with your key. Because I wanted to test to see, could I really stay off an exchange and could I do it myself without having to, put myself at risk of staying on an exchange? Because how many times have these exchanges traded up, changed the terms of service, then you come back in and then something happens and then you have to, it's just a whole rigmarole. How many times have anybody who's been trading since like 2016, 17, through the whole run up of a lot of exchanges starting, like, look how many times the change of service, and you go to log in, you have to provide another piece of data, information, whatever, even to access your funds. And, you know, if you don't own the keys, you don't own it. So just a little story from myself of using the signals trading service there that Bob offered to get some gains, even doing it manually out of that extra safety factor for me of not keeping anything on an exchange. The reason I was doing it is through the day. You know, some mornings I'll start off and I'll do research for my videos. Well, I'll keep my second screen open here the whole day. And once I see it hit near a signal top, I'll just go ahead and put an order in on my hardware wallet and flip it over, and then I'll wait. And as long as I'm doing my research for my videos and I have that second screen open, I'm able to follow all those signals all day long and do it in that manual fashion. But that was just a quick FYI for what I was doing, just to try something different to see if it could be done. And it can, even at that very rudimentary basic level of me looking at those signals and firing off the orders myself.
You can also, we have Telegram for the signals that we send out, so it'll send you notifications.
Yeah, and TradingView too.
And you can actually trade, Bitcoin without even having anything like Dave just by GPTC whenever it gets oversold and hop off when it's overbought. You know, it's a good derivative. It's a way to do that for people who don't want to go through the hassle of setting up an exchange. I always find it ironic that we have a decentralized asset and we have to store it on a centralized exchange. You know, it screwed me up a couple times with Phonex and the other one that every time they stop wanting to do business with Americans, I've had to keep moving my coins.
Binance is a good example.
Yeah, Binance. That's what I want. I went from Poloniex to Binance, and then from Binance, I had to go now move my money over to Kraken. So they keep chasing me around the globe here, and then they lock you up sometimes too. So you have to, it's always good when you do crypto to just be smart about, where you live, how you trade. Dave's a little bit more, what I would say, appropriately paranoid, but cryptos is definitely an asset you want to have an exposure to, because at any point, setting aside the dollar being strong, I mean, look, if you had your cryptocurrency in Turkish lira, you don't really care that it went from 12,000 to 10,000 because it went up in value against your lira. And that's why you do this. You do this to protect yourself against the local currency and also the failure of the banking system. You want to have assets that don't require that bank to be open tomorrow.
Yeah, so true. And these fiat currencies are dropping like flies. Everywhere you look now, from Argentina and with Turkey, you're going to get hit up in Egypt. And where you look around, it seems that it's just very difficult for currencies to maintain their present value with supply chains locked up, very little shipping and actual production coming from what would have fed into those supply chains. Now there's all these people in an enormous amount of countries that are not producing goods and exporting anything. So where's that money coming in for to give value to that society? And if they can't grow their own food, they're going to have to import the food, which then exacerbates this whole cycle of declining value in a fiat currency. When somebody's spending 3, 4, 7 times more money on food and their factories are closed, that doesn't bode well for most of the planet. Which, how many countries were there, Bob, that can produce enough food for all of their citizens and then they can export? Was it 8 countries in the whole planet or something? You had the number wired down.
Yeah, it's even more than that, because you have to also be able to produce enough energy. There's only 5 countries in the world that can do that. They're not in Asia. So, well, I take that back. Indonesia, probably Indonesia and Malaysia are probably the closest, to being able to be, self-sufficient. You have Argentina. I mean, not Argentina. You have Argentina. You have Australia. New Zealand can only feed themselves. They don't have enough energy resources. You have obviously the United States. You have Canada, and then you have Brazil. And you probably can count Colombia and Venezuela in there, but Venezuela is a failed state. So those are the nations that can feed themselves and to energize themselves. Now, having said that, the Middle Eastern countries that are producers of exportable energy, they can brute force their way into growing enough food by just creating their own greenhouse food production if they want. And I think Abu Dhabi or one of those is absolutely in the process of doing that. If not, they'll be like Norway. They'll just swap energy for food. Countries like India and China, Pakistan, those countries are in a world of hurt. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when people don't want their currencies. Pretty fascinating. I think that's why India is now rapidly trying to foster a relationship with the United States. So, and then also too, the Ukraine probably can on good years, and Russia can on good years, but that's not necessarily the case. Russia, Ukraine, and Canada, I think, are very much at risk, from the climate change. So those are the countries around the world that are okay. Everybody else is they better be producing something of high demand that can be exportable to be relevant in this day and age. And trades is collapsing around the world. So Europe's in big trouble. Europe and Asia will not be able to compete with the Western Hemisphere when push comes to shove here with Brent oil.
I'm waiting for the day when the Baltic index goes to zero, one of those. Because right now it's all about protecting your wealth and protecting yourself for the future. All these changes are here. They're real. We talked about them approaching, but now they're here. There's no way around that. You would be lying to yourself if you didn't admit that these kind of vast changes of a shift in society that only happens once every 400 years or even longer is here right now in play. So how are you going to protect yourself and your wealth and your family's wealth and this type of thing to bring you through so when we come out the other side, you're not beholden to anybody or some sort of indentured servant or something coming out there? Because you look through history, you think it's any different now? All these movements around right now, when people get hungry, all that's just going to get swept under the rug because history does repeat. And it's going to be very similar to a lot of things that we've seen in the 1600s, 1300s, 800 AD. And when we move forward here, if you have even the smallest amount of wealth protected, look at the 1930s, the people who just protected their wealth through the Great Depression, and when they did come out the backside, they were significantly larger landholders and business owners and that sort of thing after. But it was all about the reason they were able to protect something instead of having it taken away. Gold confiscation, could it happen again? Great, yes. But what kind of gold won't they confiscate? Would they confiscate, shipwreck gold or some kind of collectible gold coins? Because are they really going to come and get your gold doubloon that you spent money for that came off of a shipwreck? I don't know if they're going to go that far, but bullion perhaps. So all these little tricks and things is, Bob's got a ton of them out there to be able to boost your portfolio and boost your personal wealth and kind of see around that corner because it is going to get scary and unknown at the end of the year here.
We talk a lot of stuff here that it's kind of Six Sigma kind of stuff. It may happen. What you focus on is what most likely will happen. So, you do the kind of stuff that Dave's doing. Look, if you're in a city and vulnerable, move. You don't have to set up a command bunker somewhere. Just get out of harm's way. If you don't know how to garden, learn. You don't have to grow 100% of your food, but if you can grow 30 or 40% of it, that's great. If you have special skills, develop them so you can barter for those and set up your own communities. The thing is incrementalism. But the thing I always like to tell people, be an ant, not a grasshopper, and don't be a warrior. Just every day try to do more of the right things, because none of us are ever really going to be prepared for when the thing really just slices off. All you can do is be as prepared as you more than you were yesterday. And that's good enough, because most people can't go from 0 to 100. You just have to slowly do things. If you don't have a week's worth of food put away, get a week's worth of food put away. If you don't have solar on your house and you can, get solar on your house. Those are the kind of things that you just need to be thinking about instead of just, worrying about it or not bothered by it at all. So I got to run, Dave. I appreciate you letting me ramble on here. This is fun stuff, but it's also important stuff. So check us out at tradelikeagenius.com, and we'll be happy to take care of you. I think you'll like what we do, and I think we'll help you make money.
That's right. And use the code SCHOOL. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Thank everybody for watching. Hope you got something out of our conversation that's useful to help you glimpse into your daily lives and how to maybe improve them and through these changes here. But I'll say it too, learn how to grow food. That's going to be your number one asset. And if you don't have the skill and you have the seeds, others will come to help you grow. It's all about sharing the work, the skills, and the community aspect of it. So Bob, until next time that we talk, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good one.
Bye for now.